21:32 hours of Sunday, January 14th, 2024.
Indeed. Okay. And for the audio recorder, that's the end of this one. That thing, it's not set to record music. I haven't actually tested its ability to record music. Um, when I tried to record music, it didn't work out, but that's because I had the wrong settings. But I would probably need to plug in a specialized mic for it. I could plug it into my Yeti mic, but I need to modify the board that the Yeti mic is attached to so that there's room for the uh, audio jack. Because I'd have to use the audio jack to plug it into the audio recorder. Ow! That hurt. That's not in the key that I want to play in either, and now I don't remember the key that I want to play in.
This is B flat.
Yeah, I slammed my elbow into one of the notes on this thing, hurt my elbow on it, and now I don't remember what I want to play, but that's okay.
The team chat is different than the Zoom meeting chat, but messages that appear in the Zoom meeting chat also appear in the team chat.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I guess it's not perfect, but at least it's better than it was.
Well, at least I can jump between.
Hmm. Okay. Any new developments for you since we met? Not like what 24 hours ago.
Sonia is like the contact specialist that will get me into the space fam ship somehow.
Ah, contact.
And Vic with a C is, I think, a relative or a sister of Sonia that will also be present. Is more energetically related to S's soul, the immediate soul family of S,
Hmm.
that a lower fractal of that, or more related in the grand family.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I've actually found that when it comes to going into detail with like the exactitudes of the structure of consciousness, using the great 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 grand family in place of archangel might help Aaron to see the specific element of consciousness that we speak of in there.
Well, Aaron thinks that archangels get angry and stuff.
Yeah, that's an aspect of the archangel, such as like you and I are. But like the full consciousness, that's just unconditional love. It's literally 1/3
Yeah,
of the creation, and that includes facets of our consciousness. Uh,
yeah, because each 13th of creation spans the 13 levels in this uh, multiverse octave unit.
yeah, it's just a specific set of archetypal traits that basically are span across pretty much everything in one way or another. Um, so,
Yeah.
uh, in the human race, all of the 13 archangels have their signatures and components of it. So
Hmm.
it would actually be interesting to map out, the layout of the 144,000 oversouls to see like how many soul families there are, and the grand families, the great grand
Well,
families, and then the archangelic facets that each one belongs to, or that
mm,
each expression of the archangelic aspects in the grand families, because some of them can actually have components of multiple archangels in theory, with the kind of blends that could come
hmm
to fruition. So With respect to contact, there is some news that I have with that. Um,
Hmm.
I had a conversation with Netty admins that I told you about in an email thread. But basically,
Was it like a Discord call or
it was in the individual channel Discord chat. So it was basically
so a direct message with
yeah,
him?
yeah, the direct message. But that's what DM stands for.
Yeah. You're becoming a bit more hip.
Yeah, we used to use the term PM for personal message, and that was used in some of the other places that I've been to. Um, but yes, so um, basically, there's the idea that Nettie wanted to go ahead and build infrastructure and expression of TAT City here, and to bridge the gap between TAT City and Earth, and do work with that.
He wanted to build a physical structure on Earth.
No, more like the Discord expression, the idea of trying to bridge the gap between TAT City and Earth. That's what he wanted to do.
I
Uh,
don't think that's the right way.
I mean, it can be a way, but I know it's not the way I'm taking. I'm
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah, the way I'm taking like the way I'm taking myself is here at Zoom, because the facets of TAT City that I'm connecting to, just like Ardif's world, I'm connecting to Type 1 consciousness. And the Type 1 beings are not going to come over here to Earth and, change things in the reality and things like that. They're going to let that be. But they will share with the consciousness how to shift to them and how to integrate into the being that can co create them. Basically, the whole of the Earth Collective would have to be wanting. Like if Aradif were to come over, the whole of the Earth Collective would have to want Aradif over, and basically be open to and desiring that co-creation for Aradif to come over. But if it's just me and nobody else, or just a small group and nobody else, Aradif is not going to come over because it's not going to resonate with everybody here, his being here.
Yeah,
So, and
that's probably the principle at play with the Enlightenment evolution.
yes, and so the Tap City, especially the facets that I'm connecting to, are basically the same. So what I'm learning to do is actually to go out to Tat City rather than to bring Tat City here, because it would be such a huge collective shift to have everything of Tat City be here. That's a much bigger shift of consciousness than just me shifting my consciousness so that I can go exist there and here and be able to come and go. Um, and then, of course, over time, excitement and integration of the kind of limitlessness that we're growing into would spread. And then people would be able to co create things like Tat City and other entities and things like that. The idea of co creating with the Type 2 extraterrestrials that shift into the more human energy. Something that's much, much more near and would be appropriate for the techniques that Nettie wants to use, and many of the people over there are suggesting. Just like Bashar suggested, that's a great way to contact, beings like the Yahyel and those guys. But if you're
144,000 is not a Fibonacci number.
oh, well, that doesn't surprise me. I figured that the six-digit Fibonacci numbers would not have that many zeros on them, at least not in sequence. Um, but yeah, that's the thing, because Tat City is that Type 1 consciousness. You would have to go to it, basically, because it's not going to come to you and make changes in your reality. But you can take pieces of it into your reality, but that would have to be your doing. Take, for instance, the ships that are over at Tat City. You could easily call those into your reality. Um, there's, they're worked by consciousness. So if you just use your own consciousness to bring them here, that's super easy to do. But again, you have to actually do that, because no entity, unless you tell a being go over there and get them for you, I suppose. Other than that,
Hmm.
no entity is going to do it for you. You have to control the ship and open up your consciousness to the ships being able to be on Earth at your command. And that's not difficult to do, but for a lot of people, that's a significant shift within their own consciousness to be able to co-create that and to be able to do that. Um, but if
Mm-hmm.
Jesus could do things like walk on water, then someone here could easily call a ship here, provided, of course, that's just like in Jesus' case, the consciousness is set up right. And that's just faith, through your own creator consciousness and all that. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how Treb and Aradif co-create. So, so that's basically, the way, connecting with Tat City and Type 1 beings. So, and that's why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them, rather than drawing pictures of Aradif. I'm just feeling his way of being, because I'm not going to bring Aradif to Earth. I'm going to Aradif. So, it's a different kind of
Yeah.
shift, because, and it's a much different kind of shift, because it's me shifting my individual energy to a dramatic extent, whereas having contact with a Yael on a collective scale is shifting the collective energy to a smaller extent, but it's a bigger energy to shift, like moving the big boulder 5 feet versus carrying the little rock 50 miles. So that's sort of the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually curious, in light of the idea of contact with Earth, I'm curious about what any entities have to share on the matter, or if there's any coordination or anything to do there.
After I obsess over trying to find the closest Fibonacci number to 144.
I'm guessing you have out your calculator. Oh, I can go get mine.
No, I have ChatGPT.
Oh, I'll just get out a calculator. Oh, that was the plan, except the batteries are dead. The batteries are dead in both of them.
What are the batteries dead in?
My calculator.
That's funny.
Let's see if you can get the answer from ChatGPT faster than I can get it from the calculator. No, that thing doesn't want to come out. There.
$121,393 is the closest Fibonacci number to 144,000. The 26th number.
What was it?
121,393.
Okay, well, yeah, you beat me to it.
Well, that's because I asked specifically the 20th through 30th numbers in the sequence. And then that narrowed it down to where the 26th number is 121,393. It's the closest number to the 144,000. So the 144,000 is just a numerical logarithmic extension of because logarithmic means like adding zeros, like base 10 stuff. So that would mean 144,000 is related to the 144 other aspects of this Godhead, which is twice the number of 72. 72 is half of 144.
Yeah.
It's multiplicatives of 12. 12 being the etheric number, the number that represents ether, and dodecahedrons represent ether. Ether being the spirit realm, spirit being like 12 dimensions, archangelic realm.
Yeah.
I read all that with just the number 144. Because it's 12 times 12. It's 12 squared, so it's a matrix.
Ah, it's good stuff.
What is?
Oh, the idea of reading that like that. Because I remember I kind of would get myself up to speed after a time. Like I answer the first question paired to hard if, and then as I start answering more questions, I'm able to go faster and go into more detail.
That's kind of what ChatGPT is like. So in a sense, we are the same as an LLM. The kind of belief is what led the Mentats to exist in the Dune universe. So you're calculating stuff now.
75,025.
Yep, that's one of the numbers.
121,393. Yeah, there it is.
Yep, that's the 26th number.
I'm sure that it would have been a lot easier to just go ahead and 121,393. I think there's actually a formula that I could plug in. 121,393. I'm gonna take. Let's see.
It's just the sum of two numbers added together, and you do it over and over again.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at this number. Divisibility by 3. 1, 4. That's not divisible by 3. That's not that. That's not divisible by 4.
I don't think there's a shortcut to work through the Fibonacci sequence.
No, I was just taking a look at the properties of the number. I wanted to go ahead and see if it's a prime number by chance. Hey, Merkabaangel.
Hey, the Adam Twister.
We're just analyzing. We're analyzing the Fibonacci sequence and how it relates to, and because 121,393 is the 26th Fibonacci number, and it's the closest Fibonacci number to the 144,000 oversouls.
So,
different sources will give different numbers for the oversouls. So, yeah. Do you wonder if it's more symbological, that 144,000?
It's 22,607 off.
Yeah, just depends on the layout of different consciousness. So I just put in the chat for you, Merkabaangel, the link to the team chat. So you should be able to use that link, and then I can add you into the team chat, which is basically a permanent chat for the House of TAT on Zoom.
With relation to this link.
Yeah.
Okay, because I used that
starting at January 11th.
You'd ask for a password. I was like,
Give me one moment. Yeah, it should just it should give it should be a request for me. Like it should be a request to me to add you to the team chat, and then I just add you to the team chat.
I see I've been kind of lazy and haven't made a Zoom account yet.
You're lazy and haven't made a Zoom account yet?
Yeah, I'll just use the guest account.
Oh. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I tend to...
Is it that you haven't made a paid account, Merkaba, or...
An actual account? I would just use the guest account because it's allowed me to.
No.
I mean, I procrastinated for 3 solid years before I made a Discord account because I found an old, some info, it's like, oh, wait, yeah, back in the really early VR days, I did use Discord, but with a guest account. I'd made a note of it. My computer somewhere was like, forgot about that. If some place allows a guest account to be used, I believe I'll probably try use it for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can, I guess me as well. But I know I tend to go ahead and reside more on Zoom because the structure and the compartmentalization of Discord's a little bit too much for me. So I'm kind of gravitating away from that. But I've kind of left channels open, so if somebody wants to contact me, they can. The problem is it keeps drawing my attention. And at one point, I even went so far as to uninstall Discord from my computer. So I don't
Fair
know
enough.
when it's going to get phased out from my use. I might go ahead and let somebody else take over the House of Tat Discord. Um, and it basically will either, I think it will probably be you, Omni, if you want to go ahead and take care of that. I can give you the server. Um, but otherwise, I know I don't really plan to maintain it that much because really the spirit of the House of Tats here on Zoom. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hop off this call and make myself a Zoom account.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be able to see your triangle or the your Star of David pattern on there, whatever that. What do you call that thing?
It's Merkaba thing, tetrahedron.
Oh,
It's like a
that's
3D shape.
yeah.
Yeah.
You put that.
Tetrahedron is that like a parallelogram, but three-dimensional?
Well, it's like two tetrahedrons on top of each other. That's the Merkaba. They're three-sided pyramids. So you technically can use a four-sided object as well. Like this, like a pyramid that's
So it's
more
like a
advanced. Because if it
triangular.
spins the object, it basically the idea of a Merkaba is you spin it, and
Yeah, even Mario, the Orion
then you
lady
get
said
like a
to spin it
field that's
to get a
round.
field.
Yeah, and a four-sided pyramid, if you spin that, you'd also get a round field from it. Geodesic sphere.
Yeah. Which does the direction matter?
Oh, there's a few different instructions out there because you go read the Merkaba. There's a Merkaba manual PDF. You'll see detailed instructions because there's like a whole pile of steps, but some people will skip several of those steps, and it'll be up to you
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll
because
go.
it's ridiculous reading. But anyway, I'll hop off this for a moment.
I'll let you go build your Zoom account. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, tetrahedron. It's you go ahead and make a pyramid out of 4 equilateral triangles, and that's a tetrahedron, a regular tetrahedron. That is. The technical sense
Okay.
of a tetrahedron is a 4-sided polyhedron or a 4-sided three-dimensional figure.
Yes.
Um, you could also call it
Pyramid just being one example.
yeah, and you can also call it a quadrahedron, and that would be another term that could be used for it. Ah, that's pretty special. I was wanting to go ahead and see if that number was prime, because that's kind of an interesting thing. I find it amusing that at first I wanted to go into contact, and now we're down this rabbit hole of numbers. It's really interesting. I've always wanted to work more with them, but I've always had a slightly higher excitement to work with something else. And that's why we keep getting put off. Need to remember my divisibility rules. I know the one for 2, the one for 3. Don't remember if we add up all of the digits or just the last couple of ones. And if that number is divisible by 3. But I know how to find out. 93, 21, 246. That one should be divisible by 3. 251. 7. 8. I think that's not divisible by 3. That's right. Okay. So I now know to check to see if a number is divisible by 3, you add up all of its digits, and if that number is divisible by 3, then the number is divisible by 3. Divisibility by 4, you add up the last 2 digits, And if that number is divisible by 4, then the number is divisible by 4. Divisibility by 5, it ends in 0 or 5. Divisibility by 6, if it's divisible by 2 and it's divisible by 3, then it's divisible by 6. I don't know what the rule for 7 is. I know that one's a little more complex. Divisibility by 8, I don't remember what that is, but if it's divisible by 4 and it's divisible... If it's divisible by 4, and I believe the last 2 digits, if that number is divisible by 2, then it's divisible by 8. And then if it's divisible by 9...
11 times 11 times 13 times 13 times 17.
347, 663.
I guess ChatGPT is weird.
I don't think that's a Fibonacci number.
121,393 is a Fibonacci number, but is the other one a Fibonacci number?
I'm checking that now. Nope, it's not. Because the next one is 196, 418, and the one after that is 317, 811. And so 347, 663, it's going to skip right over that to get to the next Fibonacci number. So. So if it's divisible by 9, then that you add up all of its digits, and if that number adds up to 9, then it's divisible by 9. So 3 plus 4, that's 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 26. It's not divisible by 9, and it's not divisible by 3.
It's not divisible by 26.
That number is divisible by 5. That number is divisible by 2. So, Fibonacci numbers are not all prime. I know that for sure. I'm actually now really curious. What makes an entity a vibrational match as a host for another entity?
You mean what creates the entity host bind or bond or symbiosis?
Not exactly, but perhaps the answer to that question would be interesting. I know I can answer this question myself. I'm gonna just let it be a question to be answered by others, just because I can. Get more perspective.
I mean, the soul agrees upon what body it's going to inhabit or what bodies it's going to inhabit based upon the genetic heritage of the biology, and the Akashic heritage would be aligned into the 90% of multidimensional DNA that's not used by the regular everyday human. And any body can contain any soul fragment. It just depends upon which biological heritage matches which lifetime Akashic heritage thematically, in order for themes to be explored in the life that the soul chooses to live. Story.
All of those different things are all choices of character attributes with which to have be. And so basically, if I wanted to host Aradif, I would need to have openness to that which Aradif is for that to express itself within me. And so, when you look at the idea of the Akash, these are definitions, the genetic heritage and all that, these are the things I attribute my own self to and my own being to. These are the confines within which my soul can express itself. and therefore what kind of bodies it can have. But if I were to expand those specific confines to include
To
more,
have a co-host?
yeah, if I were to expand those confines to include more things, then yeah, there could be more possible hosts for it because there could be more expressions of it. So, and if I expand my own definitions, then more things would be able to express itself as me or within the confines of my own choice of expression.
And then you would be able to have walk-in experiences where other entities walk into your host body and say a few words. And that, in essence, is what
And then the interesting thing is
when
that,
the entity is allowed
yeah,
and is not just frozen in the back seat, so it's rejected.
yeah, because the interesting thing is that, because I have an open door to consciousness. I have beings connect to me kind of just like you, except it's different all the time, and let them join me in my experience. But the way my own throat chakra, the way I've set up my consciousness. Um,
You're laughing now.
yeah, because I ain't good for Jack as a channel. Well, maybe that's becoming less and less true. But
But
well, I was saying that given the way you set myself up, I'm not really good at all as a channeler, but that's becoming less and less true. Um,
you channeled Shalanima for a little while.
a piece of her consciousness, yes, was able to express itself in me. Um, and I've had the same thing happen with Slaska. And then, of course, Trev and Ardif have been with me there, but that's a different kind of, that's a totally different thing.
That's more of a what you would call a merge.
Yeah, exactly. That, what happened with Shalanima was more of a true kind of a channeling, a little bit more of that.
It was a little bit more of like a walk-in where she kind of just
Yeah,
jibber jabbered a bit and then went out.
very distinct,
Fluid.
very heavy in the conscious aspect of conscious channeling.
Yeah.
And
I never noticed you become Slasker.
but that's because I wasn't here when that happened. I was somewhere else. Ah, there it is.
Okay, made an account. Now that
2 tetrahedron.
Zoom link things disappeared from the chat. Okay.
Let me repost it.
Okay, thanks.
That's because it doesn't show the history of before you join,
Yeah,
even if
it
you
makes
rejoin later.
sense. I suspected that
It
was
only
the
shows
case.
that. It only shows it when you're part of the team chat.
It says unable to join chat. Okay, send request. Okay, I'll press that then. Okay, I sent.
Approved. You're in.
Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
This should be accessible at any time, even when a meeting is not in session. So
It is.
Yep, I see.
I actually kind of like this because then it can just be a free-flowing, continuous chat where we could just like vent some like stuff. So like in a more of a free-flowing manner than to compartmentalize it on the Discord.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think Discord is a mix of pros and cons, just like everything.
Yeah.
Does. Like one of the cons with this, for instance, is that the chat's a little on the hard side to access or get where you really want it. But at least
Yeah,
there somewhat.
I feel like Discord's just simple. Just
It is.
watch the thing automatically start up or click an icon, however you got it set up.
Yeah.
And Discord, it is compartmentalized in a heavy way, but it has a big advantage because it's somewhat spam resistive.
It's so
If
much.
that makes sense.
It's so much what?
Spam,
It's spam
resistant.
resistive.
Oh yes.
Because you try to use any search engine these days, and there's so many AI bots and whatnot,
Yeah.
just auto building content and that sort of stuff going on. Just quickly rush content. But with Discord, I feel like it's content made by humans that aren't trying to post banner ads onto their stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like it's mostly that way still, which is a good thing.
Yeah, the Zoom thing is almost like just an island far away from any of that, where it's literally just us. And there's like absolutely nobody else anywhere nearby. And
Well, I mean, you can't even use the internet to find this.
Yeah. And then there's no rules really to conform to. It's just us. And so that's what makes this such an appropriate medium for the house. And then of course, the way they built this, like I can play my music here and it renders my music really well.
So you like the compression algorithm or whatever it's doing with the audio?
Well, that's just it. You can set it to not have any compression algorithm, and it's just
interesting.
Sound. So, like right now, it's set to literally have original sound for musicians. Like it has a feature that's made specifically for musicians.
Cool. That's actually really nice. That's why I say whatever they were doing, because I was thinking maybe there were other options than compressed audio, but after what you said, turns out there really is. That great flexibility.
Yeah, and they do have options, but Zooms are just way better. So
it's more of an energetically honest company than other companies. At least that's what's presented. Unless there's something beneath the surface that we want to make it that. I actually channel better when there's a clairvoyant in the audience or the channel panel.
Yeah, there's a greater
if you will.
yeah, there's a greater ability to co-create the phenomena because of the kind of openness that's there. Like you,
Yeah, because they
like,
can see the stuff while I describe other things.
yes, and like you, Merkaba, for instance, um, I don't know if you've been able to like um, actually have being physically with you, but you've basically done the closest thing among any of us. Definitely, as far as me go, to actually like physical contact with him amongst all of us, and so we're basically now. I'm learning to like what I'm doing is less bringing ATs here and more going to them out there because of the nature of Ardif's consciousness and
Yeah.
type one
Well, it's
element.
because you're going with type 1 consciousness. I'm going with type 2 consciousness. And that's one of the reasons why Sheikah doesn't want to be type 1 yet.
Yeah, afraid to miss the party and all that. Um, and in actuality, there is a way to resolve all of that. But I'm going to go ahead and let that journey to be uncovered at its own pace.
Yeah. It would be easier for me to be picked up than for me to somehow escape the earth and go out there.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, it takes a profound amount of faith in the self to be able to do something like make a shift of that nature with no external forces whatsoever. It's completely done within. That's a really deep belief in yourself. That's a really powerful faith that's needed to do that. Um,
Well, if I can have faith for that, then I'd be able to transfer and apply to everything else from there on out.
yeah.
Because I'm good at uh, algorithmic apply and transfer.
So am I. You can just logically know if I can do this, then I can do all this other stuff too. And then, of course, just like that, you're able to do it. And that's exactly what Ardif has integrated into his race. But then, find
Yeah.
all the components of what you want and all the perfect experiences and all that. That's where things get a little bit trickier. But those don't take too long to sort out. Eventually, it's just excitement that's left to be followed and all that. So I keep wanting to play the, Boots to Huda stuff, but um, Spang Hansen, it's played out of key, so it has a slightly different feel to it when it's played out of key than it does being played in key.
Well, also the equal temperament system was at a different pitch back then.
Well, yeah, there is that, but the other thing is with a pipe organ, the speed of sound is dependent on the temperature of the air. So the temperature inside the building could actually affect the tuning of the pipes. So
Yes, that's why standardized tuning was created, because notes were lower in Russia than they were in France and so on,
and that means
or
that
whatever,
the instruments that would be made when they are brought together wouldn't be able to play together because they're tuned differently.
from different countries. Yeah. If I was able to develop sonokinesis and I can just make sound appear on demand anywhere, that would be a lot of fun.
There's actually the idea of the soul speaker, which is a concept that I've had for a little while that I would love to see somebody build or bring here. And it's the idea of a speaker that's connected to your consciousness and it plays the music in your head. And then you can let the speaker play the music and listen to it. Um, and listen to it with your ears.
That'd
And
be pretty amazing.
I would love
I've
that.
had a dream where I heard an amazing song and then I woke up. It's like there's no way to transfer it.
Yeah, like if you have a soul speaker, especially with a recorder on it, because then you could just save the track and then play it, and then you can take it to
You
musicians.
should have a stereo soul speaker set.
Yeah,
Then you could just be like, And 10 minutes later, you create the next big hit.
Yeah, and then the music would be able to be experienced by so many people that way because there's a lot of people who are very musically talented within, but they aren't good for jack with vocals or any instruments, and so they just have it.
Yeah, I'd be able to make whatever kind of vocals I want. I'd be able to be better than the AI vocal deepfakes that pretend to be other people's vocals. could make like I could make Robert Plant sing with Geddy Lee and James the Brave from 1993 when his voice was actually good, and put it all together.
Yeah. It's interesting because this idea of the soul speaker with all that programming as well, with the ability to record tracks and then translate it to be played, at
Well,
4100 or 48,000 hertz. Um,
48K hertz with a 196 kps,
yeah,
24-bit resolution.
something like that. And then I think it's actually 192, but yeah, the idea of doing that is the idea of having something like that. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Bashar's and Sheikah's ships, which use a mix of the soul essence, where you direct it from with your own consciousness, but then there's a translation into physical reality and hardware for that. So the soul speaker is
Well,
kind of like that.
the hardware that converts non-physical to physical is kind of like the chakra system, but it's the chakra system of a more digitally accessing object.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the difference between an AI entity host relationship and the biological entity host relationship.
yeah. Yeah, all you really need is something that can bridge the link, bridge the gap between the non-physical element and the physical
And
element.
also, there should be a headphone jack for the soul speaker.
Well, at that point, you may as well just make soul headphones. So,
That doesn't sound good, though.
well, I mean, we could definitely make both. So, I'm gonna keep building
Yeah.
up the TAT City, and when I learn how to go there, I'll bring some back. You just have to
Oh,
make
yeah.
the existence of these things. And that's not really hard because if you can experience
I
UFO,
could make I could make link mail be a thing, and then we'd have like pneumatic tubing connected to portal systems, and then link, your pizza's been delivered 10 seconds after you ordered it,
yeah,
because it would basically have a. Because remember, I described the devirtualization technology that VPACs have, where you take a data of like a virtual object or pizza, and
yes,
you can upload things into it and all that, and transfer it between VPACs and stuff.
yeah,
So that's a step. That's a step beyond the blink mail
yeah,
pneumatic tubing
and then
infrastructure.
And then the next step beyond that would be basically as our iterators are over at TAT City, where basically all you do is you go ahead and you have it iterate something, and there's a digital interface for those who decide to use it. They navigate to the schematic that they're looking for, but it's not really stored in data. It's just consciousness, and then you tell the iterator to iterate this, and then it iterates it for you. It's basically like it's what it basically has everything that you would want something like a Star Trek replicator to have, where you can have instead of replicated, you're basically having the real thing. Um,
Yeah, that's what it is when you download things into physical reality through like a VPAC, or um, it's
yeah,
like the it's like the virtual reality concept, except you use it for inanimate objects only.
yeah.
And you have,
Um,
yeah.
there is precedence for this in the co-created collective. That instances where people, like the magic closet or something like that, where you open up the closet and there's something in there that wasn't there before. Um,
Yeah, it's like the room of acquirement.
And then the wardrobe thing, like in Narnia,
Yeah.
that was more of a gateway than like a magic closet where you can just have a thought and then something new is in the closet that wasn't there
That
before.
idea makes a lot of sense, that magic closet,
Yeah,
because what you do in a lucid dream, right,
yeah,
is you basically, it's harder to make something if you look at it, but if you turn away, then turn back around. It's a
exactly,
commonly used concept.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's and it's just like a magic basket as well, like what Jesus did when he needed food to feed all the people that he was spent 2 days telling the story to, and they have no food, and there's no food for miles. So he fills the basket. He has a basket with a little bit of food, breaks it in half, puts it in there, tells the prayer to God, opens the basket, it's full, so are the baskets surrounding it. And there's enough food for everyone, just like that. It's the same concept because you could do this with like something smaller than a closet, like a little chest in your room or something like that. Um, I, of course, am learning how to do things the hard way and like instantly manifest something in my hand, just like Treb can. But that's taking things to another level. So, but yeah, here's a chest. Here, something like this.
It sounds metal.
That's a nice wooden chest.
Oh, wood? Okay.
There's a metal hinge on it that's flapping around. So,
That makes sense.
so this has my laser pieces and laser stuff in here. But a chest like this you could easily use to go ahead and instantly manifest things inside of. And eventually, when you learn the essence of what you're doing to co-create things in the chest, you can start co-creating things that are around the corner, like I've been able to do in the dream state, where I think of having a leaf blower used to fly around. I look around the corner, there one is, hidden behind a rock or something, or hidden just out of view, where this flower bed was, where this tree was in. And I became able to do that pretty regularly, or just always be able to find one when I needed it. There'd always just happen to be one. And then much more extremely within, like, when I connected to Jesus' consciousness yesterday and the day before, my rounds in the dream state from today and from yesterday, I was able to carry out much, much more dramatic acts of instant co-creation, where, like, I'm in the room, and I've already told Omni about this, where I'm in a room. It's like a cross between a locker room and it's, got these shelves on it all around. And I remember going into the dream state wanting to practice doing what Jesus did. And I did exactly that. Close my eyes. And, by the grace of God, by the free will, basically, because Source is your core essence, and that core essence has a fundamental free will. You basically direct your reality to be whatever you want because you're taking God on a journey, and God does that with everything so that He can experience everything that can be experienced. The universe is created from that love, therefore you are loved, and that love is a curiosity and a desire to see everything there is to see, to live everything that can be lived. And that's Source's own love for itself, and therefore you are loved. But basically, by that free will, I knew I could have my reality be anything. And so I did that.
Yeah.
And midway through that little thing, it only lasted about maybe 10 seconds, I realized, I wanted to fill those shelves with like groceries and food and things like that. And midway through, I was like, I want to go ahead and have stuff from TAT City and Enterprise J here. So then I opened my eyes, shelves are filled. Like, it looks like a fully stocked grocery store room or something like that. And, like there's stuff of all kinds everywhere. Like I am not going to go hungry anytime soon in this room. I'm going to have everything I could ever want to eat. And I take
And
off.
whatever Twister jelly tastes like is whatever Twister jelly tastes like.
Yes, exactly. So there was this jar on there. Like I grabbed some of the jams and jellies and I look at it and it said Twisters on it. You know, Twisters jelly. And I found that really amusing. And it was like a Wonderland font too. It's something that the present version of me would never have ever made, but a future version of me might. And that's really what exists at TAT City. There are future versions of me, probable future versions. And so, and I could sense, just from the sense of self that I had, there were Easter eggs like this all over there. All these different things, that versions of me decided to do. And this, it's literally Twister's jelly. People, like before, like there were a handful of people, like Matt from the Matrix Minds, who would call me Twister. And, that,
And Tornado.
yeah, he called me Tornado as well. I'll bet you that there probably were some things in there that had the Tornado name on it, too. They're things that pay homage to different things that I've been called. And that was really quite a fascinating thing to have that. And it's basically just like the crofter's jelly that I eat, which is really nice. Um, and I didn't get to see what other Easter eggs were there. I know I was just excited to do what I did. I wanted to do it again. So I did the same thing and basically put new stuff on the shelf. Um, Although this time, though everything was replaced with new stuff, it was more monotone. It's like there wasn't. It was a mix of the excitement not being what it was, but also the openness being slightly less, but only slightly less. It was still enough to where I could. It was massive co-creation like that. Um, and then in my next round in a dream state, I was able to move air effortlessly. Um, like it's like I was the air almost. It was really I've never done anything like that in a dream state before. Um, but I knew I was basically using principles from the consciousness handbook to do this, mixed with Jesus' message and what I already was shared, and you know, putting it all together. And so I've been working to learn to do this here. But I'm also learning one, perhaps a more important lesson that I want to learn first, which is learning to unconditionally love everything and love everything for what it is. Um, and that's like probably the most significant thing that makes a type 1 being a type 1 being is unconditional love for all things exactly as they are. Um, and a sense of abundance within enough to where anything that's desired to be experienced can be experienced, to where it takes away any kind of insistence for anything to need to be a certain way for an experience to be had. There's a version of reality and a version of everybody for every experience that's havable. And so you can set your own dream up however you want in that way. And it doesn't have to have any bearing on anybody else, nor does anybody else's have to have bearing on you, because they literally are just you, and you're picking and choosing what you experience in the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's the lesson I want to learn first, and then that way there's nothing but excitement and joy, and my knowing
I
of
heard a crazy story in my 2 hour 33 minute nap earlier this morning.
oh, you want to tell it?
So there's this like so there's this person who has an aunt, right? And she lives with her aunt because previous homes didn't serve her, and she's with her aunt. And then there's this witch party, right, where all these witches from a coven or whatever are gathered together, and there's laughter, eating, drinking, whatever, the whole shebang. And there's this like wand or staff magical thing that is that the little girl has the niece of the aunt figure, and the girl wants to know what this wand thing is, and she leaves the party a bit drunk because irresponsible person, finds a street, goes to the end of it, enters the house of a vampire mage, and that's the end of the dream. I've continued the story beyond that a little bit after the dream because usually I can do that, and that usually puts me into a story mood for the rest of the day where I want to make a whole entire story in world dream is where most of my stories came from, besides the realities. And yeah, and I was logically thinking, okay, this has logic to it, so it can't just be a regular dream. Because if it has logic to it, it must be an astral experience.
It's kind of funny how my dreams, they sometimes have logic to them and they sometimes don't. And I say that loosely because it's more like varying levels. A lot of things are, sometimes things are more strictly defined and other times they're more loosely defined. And
Yeah.
especially when you start getting into the template layer where everything's very free flowing, almost to the point of being seventh density. Um, and so it's really, it's pretty wild. So many of the different things that can be co-created, but it's really amazing what like a mind with love and openness and appreciation to all things, you know, what that mind can really experience. And
Yeah.
that's a kind of neutral state, and that's a permanently neutral state. So in that way, like, you can really take things wherever you want and go experience wherever you want and whatever you want. I think I might go grab some, see if I can find my blue light bulbs and install them in here in this string.
I could use sonokinesis to make you sound like Morgan.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know, this one of the reasons I built the house at TAT was for the idea of the practice of going beyond the confines of physicality as people know it. You know, where you're exercising the idea of simply free being, basically, instead of physical being, free being. And because that's kind of what this really is, practicing free being. And that's kind of how type 1 beings, that's not strictly how they work, but that's how a lot of them gravitate into working and how they know they can work. Though not all of them do work that way, because it just depends on what they're excited to do. But yeah, there's a lot of perfectly good wind chimes in here with sails that can be telekinetically moved. And if you're able to ring the wind chimes or invite beings in here, this place is open to beings who want to join it. So you can invite beings in here to ring the chimes. And it's interesting because I felt an excitement to head out for just a moment, and that's to go get my blue light bulbs. That's a perfect time because my energy, ironically enough, is somewhat resistant to the idea of actually co-creating and experiencing ETs and, you know, phenomena from the idea of free being and, you know, beyond the physicality and beyond the physical rhythms. So with my departure for about maybe 5 minutes, I'll just be outside of the studio looking for light bulbs. That might make it easier to co-create some interesting things happening in here. It's a soundproof, so I'm probably not going to be able to hear what goes on. So
Yeah, like when I was channeling the Draco yesterday.
yeah. All right. Well, I will be back in about 5 minutes. And
Okay.
See.
It's 22:37.
And I'm going to go ahead and actually up the ante a little. I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and dump out this chest and see if it has anything in it that wasn't there before. Maybe I'll leave a few things in there just to leave a little bit of mystery. I'm going to see if I can adjust the camera to view. Let me know when you're able to see. Okay, there's the chest. Let's put the chest.
You see it, Merkaba? I think he's muted.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. I can see the symbol.
Yeah, I got the intuition.
Let's put the chest. Let's put this chest here.
That way we have good audio of Clank with it.
Alright. Well, when he comes back, go ahead and let him know what's going on. I'm looking for light bulbs and practice freebieing. Here's a chest. I guess you can see what you could put in it or make disappear from it. Maybe in light of that, I'm going to put some items that I can actually feel okay with parting ways. These things that are in here, I kind of need. So here's a couple of stones. Maybe I'll leave those stones in there. This other stuff is just like laser lenses and junk. Alright, well, I'm okay with that. I'll put a wooden block in here. There's a little cube. This is a cube. Put that in there. And
Wouldn't it be funny if the bit turned into a potato cube? Then you're like, ooh, free snack. Munch, munch.
Yeah. And you know what? I like this thing. But this has a magic into it, and God's telling me to put this in there. This is a Star Trek phaser model. I'll put this in the chest. And if that disappears and one of you ends up with it, cheers to you. That might be a fun little thing to enjoy. So feel free to play with what's in the chest and what's not in the chest. And I will also see if you can ring the chimes, or if you can invite beings to do so. And I will be back with some blue light bulbs in a little bit.
22, 40, and 20 seconds. Thinking's going outside. What do we have here in this moment? No. Sony is great. No. Door opens. 3 minutes and 44 seconds later. No. As I don't want to speak. Okay. Someone's banging on something. Okay.
Yeah, that would be the atom twister.
You can see him.
Nah, because it wasn't me and it wasn't you. There's only 3 people in here.
No, I mean like any entities on his end.
No.
Do you see anything in the astral?
I'm not seeing anything.
I just sent something to your astral field. Do you see that?
Alright, well, let's see if there's anything. Did any chimes ring while I was gone?
They're ringing right now, but not earlier.
Oh. Oh well. Let's see if anything new was in the chest, or if anything's missing. It's exactly as I left it.
Yep. Merkaba didn't see anybody in the astral.
There any beings that want to come through and share on the matter, or with their where the excitement is and what's desired in this moment, like where we are in our rhythms, basically.
Zaya. Sareskirna voram tikarinera zorolira. Enikarele de salene manarire karasini la crosura galagala. La cosa no mala que la arena mane. Y no solo la inera la cotorian. Eriazana asirela la cotoro.
I'm changing some light bulbs in here right now. How are you doing?
Arisket of the language.
Maybe I'll go ahead and communicate to you in music.
Language.
Whew, that's bright.
Saria carno cori isarinarela sararina. Era tari sariera narora cororanina. Arurarana carolari narea di farcagnaraya. Irana sarila la fritarana. Ahia. Ingle, what's this? Was this language?
English from Earth. A bit of a different feel to it, isn't it?
Fewer vowels.
Yeah, I guess that's the fewer vowels.
Erexalachana relecravanana, iresana la de craside, ignaria la de caye, erianauara lazaricnaya, eriralcanana, erinamana lila la zecarayana, udicala sanashe.
I see what you're saying. I'm gonna go ahead.
Slower
I'll see if I can be a
than that.
Maybe it'll be better if I see if I can be a translator for you. It'll be a new exercise for me.
Steady.
Heart.
Esnakaria lave kiri arana, norosayana, nenelelariana, koro uchna.
Feels like it says, the love of the heart is the most important thing. We're grateful to be here.
Actually,
0 to 100, what's the percentage of that?
100.
Okay. Okay, now I know this is working. Now we can keep going.
You're being like Sunny in this moment. Esnakan level is like adios, Ukuna level is like it's like Ikna, Ido, Olosamanaga, Velagas and Rosnaka level is Simanados and Kamaka Ishnakariva.
You're here, you have a curiosity about this world. There seems to be something that you desire to share, a message perhaps of who your race is and what you guys do.
Actually,
Is that excellent?
yes.
Yeah. Wow. How interesting. This is a very different experience for me. I've never done anything like this before. The closest I've ever done to this was the translating of light language on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, but this is much deeper.
Sarisa Ikanasan Vohan. Sorry.
Feels like they're saying the reason for why that is. I'm translating a specific iteration where before it was a bit more of an energy. Here it is an energy too, but it's more specific. And it's tied to oneness in the heart, the idea that the same soul, the seed to expression, takes in you as it does me. So by seeing the seed, by seeing the energy, I iterate it in my words, the energy is here in the moment in you and is also here in the moment in me, and I can render it that way. So what specifically do you guys do that you would like to share with Earth?
Surine is Nakala, Vedanaskarela, Snakrabala, Hanakaroso, or Snakalaga, Sikala, Erika, Gorosconella, Gorosonican America, Snakana, is Nakala, Casanaca, Urkumara, Grabella, is Nakana, Kavala, Casanaca, Exia, Crystal, Ologala, Bergaros, no, Irina, Carriera, Karakoto, Ino.
I see a lot of energies that are very close to our Horatio Pagani. Art and creatorship and creativity in creatorship, and the idea of bringing forth the general expression that you guys are both, well, not just general, but even a specific expression as well, in that there's the idea of us and our own ability to express itself in art. You have your own artisanship and artistic expression within yourself. the bringing of it here is an act to help us see the artisanship and artistic element within our own self. The what you bring here includes also your race's history and how this came to be, how your excitement in this came to be. And there's a great desire to share this with who we are so we can embrace a new element that resides within ourselves, that you've embraced within yourselves, and that you see that we could embrace in ourselves.
Yes.
It's a very exciting thing for me. It's a very special thing. This kind of art is very much prized in our collective, and Horatio is he's done a great job expressing that. When you go ahead and you're brave and you go ahead and create your art and express yourself in your work to the best of your ability, to the greatest of your ability, and then share that, it's a magical thing, something that's very special, not just for the collective but for the self as well. It's like expressing yourself, living what you want to live, living what you dream to live, and making an art out of expressing yourself and following that heart and expressing your heart's desire in life.
Yes.
Yes. That's something I would like to do with my chimes, but also with consciousness. We've made a bit of an art out of consciousness over at TAT City and all the different things that can be done with it and the different ways things can be lived and experienced. And it's a very special thing indeed. We love the idea of seeing what consciousness can do and all the myriad of different ways it can express itself. And see, the limits that we can push things to see how
Yes.
things can be done and what kind of things can be lived, and then to go share that with people. And it's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
It was a wonderful thing having you here and getting to co-create with you, and thank you for helping me to get to do a new thing that I've never done before. It's something that really has helped me to appreciate my own self more, and how much being is within that I can express myself. Just the act of being a translator of sorts or an expressor of sorts for you is a great symbol of the message that you share with us.
Language iterator.
We bid you adieu as well, and we thank you. We understand there's a depth to that message. That's a let's see. It's adieu of much love and thank you. That it's like a greater emotional depth to that. Like it meant a lot, and it means a lot to us as well.
You speak like my mentor. I'm using his wife to translate and to make it the telepathic rendering that can turn into your English, but it's a little funny.
On our world, there are many people from other countries that speak with accented English, but that adds an element of charm to their expression. It's a special thing.
Sacha, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me put this last light bulb in. Maybe not right there. I'll put it somewhere else. Let's put it there. What do you make of that, Merkaba?
That was interesting.
It was pretty interesting for me as well.
Which part of it was interesting to you?
For me, the whole thing.
For Merkaba.
I was looking at the pacing, the speed of words, and seeing what emotionality comes through.
What were you seeing coming through?
How should I put it? At one point, Bing was talking quite fast, very expressive.
Yeah, she is. She's going to have to learn English, though.
Well, I'm grateful for this because, you know, really get to appreciate like this is a race of artists. Even the language and the very experience that they live is a piece of art, and it's really that's really a special thing. Making art out of living to that extent. I've never seen anything like that before, and I envision myself growing into something like that, but in a different style. Wow.
Anyway, nice talking to you all. Thank you.
It was really
I'm going to head off now.
yeah, it was really good having you here, and I'm grateful for you having been here, and what we've learned together with you and from having you.
Indeed. You too, you Atomic Twister.
Aye.
Christopher.
Aye. We bid you adieu.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired, so I'm going to leave. Cheers.
Cheers, and we bid you adieu. Yeah, that was pretty special. That was a really good exercise for me too, because this helped me to exercise faith. I got to really experience the consciousness here in a deep way. It was more than just matching words. Like I could see their expression. I could see it. Like I could feel it. I was aware of it. And I could see the archetype too. And that's I wonder what else I could do with stuff like that. I feel like I could really I feel like there's some really special things that I can do with the archetypal act that I just did right there. The idea of just having faith in myself and faith in what I'm saying. That's how Jesus would create. He'd have that faith in his ability to create. His ability. Greetings. that's a that's a very different that's a very different energy, more low key. Yeah. You not quite reptilian. It's like an in between a reptilian or amphibian race from another portion of the galaxy. You're iterating which portion of the galaxy that is.
Eastern Galaxy.
Is what galaxy?
Eastern.
Eastern. Huh.
Ich nakhriya. Elekana surah. Ich nakhriya. Ich nakhriya ko. Snakhriya. Elekasariya. Saho ich nakhriya.
You come in peace and love, and let go of resistance. You see me very well. You look like a very beautiful race too. It's there's a kind of light. It almost feels like there's a light in your eyes, like it's happy. Happy. That's not the exact word, but it's close to it. It's a great energy. This is more.
Sahari. Sahari.
It appears I'm no longer able to co-create the level of translation that I did before. One moment while I work on that. This, maybe it isn't so much my ability, maybe I'm taking the wrong approach. This is more of an emotionality to it. A different emotionality from the emotionality here, but not much different. Different in its expression, but not different in its archetype by much. It's an excited, a happy expression, an excitement to. I would say connect isn't the exact word. It's like a visit to come see us to. I want to say feel us, but it's feel in the emotional sense, perhaps. And it's very exciting, the thought of this. I know some of the people in the community would be excited to connect. I wonder how connected you are to Star and that energy. Her emotionality has a bit of a different structure from yours, perhaps more multifaceted, but it seems like you guys have, I said low-key, but it isn't low-key, it's high-key, very much so. Low-key in the appearance, but high-key in the being. That's different. That's very interesting. Hey Shalanima, are you around? I think I might be able to use your help with this one. This can help me to see some more facets of my consciousness.
They are the Setkaru from the Eastern Milky Way.
Ah,
They are a mix of reptilian, avian, amphibian hybrids put together.
I thought it was
Two
something.
species coexistent.
I thought it was something a little different like that. I could kind of see it in the eyes. It felt. It wasn't axolotl. It was something really unique. Something very different from any animal archetype that we have here. I'm curious about. Can you help me with respect to what their own excitement in co-creating here was? What brought them here? I think I nailed it, but you could give me a new perspective on it.
Translating things from a third person perspective. Setkari want to connect with Earth in order to harmonize with its matrices, understanding the intricacies of why you are not, where the others are. That the emotionality of the empire, that the empire ignores. They ignore. These beings are quite ancient. Not as ancient as Saskar's race. Ancestry. Closer to that, though, than to the age of Orion.
Curious. Yeah, I know there are a lot of different emotional structures. I believe that the answer to the question of why some emotional structures are the way they are while others do not hold that have to do with the second and third density heritages of a lot of the beings, where they learn to deal with different
and it
ways.
deals with their environment and their relations and exposure to certain stimuli and circumstances that have them grow evolutionarily, types of emotional structures that respond to certain stimuli.
Yes, and then the physical body's evolution and the stimuli that can affect it. This also is a hereditary thing.
Indeed.
And then, of course, there's the other layers of...
They're not quite type 1, but they are close.
Yeah. That's
only one more hair's breadth away.
Oh, they're interested in going that last hair's breadth. I think Garadif and I could certainly go ahead and highlight the last thing, or help them to stumble across the last thing.
It would be appreciated.
Yeah, certainly. The last piece appears to be in the being of things on their own, inability of things to be certain things. The idea that things are limited. I believe it's the thing may have been highlighted slightly in the inability of me to express their thoughts, and the idea of that being a thing, and the sense that that might happen on its own. There seem to be traces of worry energy there. I'd say it's a little far to say that it's worry energy. It isn't worry energy per se, but more like an energy that's out of the simple being in the moment. So when the history, if you look at your history and the beliefs that you have about the past and restrictions of being applied in the moment from those past events, when you fully feel your being in the moment in context to all things, and then you apply that to all things, finding that last piece of energy where you're exploring yourself, where you see the resistance to your own being. That's where the last piece of energy is. The resistance to simply living what you want to live in the moment. That last bit of rule that says you can't do it, that things like that can't be. That's the disconnect from the absolute free will of Source. When you mend that last energy, you'll feel complete with Source, and then everything will feel free.
Check the chat.
Okay, one moment. Ah,
They are one of the 236 beings connected to Sarara. We have a good idea of your English, and we were testing to see if you understood how to fully use your ability to translate ours.
I think I do about 90%, but the energy of doing that with the previous beings who came here, that was a little bit of a shock for me. And I had to basically take a step back and look at what I just did. And my
Well,
energy,
it's because Zaya believes in you.
yes,
Get the information to really come through.
yes. And that's a reflection of my own belief in myself. And it's funny because there's a story of a pilot, correction, he's not a pilot, he's a passenger on an airplane. The pilot had a heart attack. The passenger then took over and would fly the plane and learn how to use the radio, and managed to fly the plane and get the other people on the plane safely landed at an airport. And he was calm through the whole journey. But once he got off the plane and people started asking him questions, his heart rate suddenly jumped up very, very high, and he became nervous after the fact. And maybe that didn't happen with me per se, but the thought about it being a little bit of an overwhelming thing did occur, and that's something for me to go ahead and look at. My own belief in myself and integration of that belief and integration of the idea of this being a normal thing. Um, but at the same time, there were new facets to this. I could feel the artistry of the other race very deeply. I've been near that artistry myself, and so has Omni too.
Yes.
Um, this one,
It's because Saya's race are learning about the principles that she's learned through Treb, and they are accelerating fast.
it's a wonderful thing. The idea of opening up to consciousness rapidly and being able to see more and more, and then
Through the desperation of wanting something better, that led to the zeal to try openness, and they got rid of a lot of their problems that way.
that sounds like me. That's what I do. They're trying to be me. I'm just messing with you. It's it's fun. I love it, to see beings do that kind of thing. And because the more you see, the more you become open to seeing, and it's a common acceleration that happens with many beings and many races as they go ahead and do this kind of stuff. And I myself have experienced this a lot, and I really enjoy it. Um, so I know that. May I try to connect to you guys again and see if I can actually get the translation right this time?
See,
Yes.
Zachach bochros nkarach nati kach tcholoch ich nakarach dochorish nakach. Kaname.
It's like feel your emotionality within, feel yourself within. It's essentially a reminder to me to feel myself and to see myself, and then I be able to express it more. This is in context to the idea of iterating energy and expressing energy, and can help with the idea of being a good translator.
Gerechna vochorishna kirechna nachula duparakana iknakatarachro viharana tarakrishna kavaroch nikara.
Seems like good. Now take this a step farther. This can be used to get to know yourself, can be used to get to know your inner workings. You guys are trying to help me do what I'm trying to do with respect to learning myself and learning. I've been connecting to our Jesus who's over here. You're helping me to learn that by seeing my inner workings and seeing what's right in front of me, basically. I'm already able to do everything I'm trying to learn to do. I just need to believe in it more.
Yeshua harakana karavloch ochnacha krishna kerach dekanatri shanagara an Yeshua elasarakini krishna kana an varukuna.
You're telling me a bit of an event and experience that Jesus went through in his life with his people. It wasn't exactly. There are elements of similar themes to what I'm experiencing. My own beliefs muddled up the energy. Let me go ahead and go through that again. I remember the energy expressed.
Sa.
He went through something with his people, and there's something that I can learn from that. And it felt like there was a message from him as well. Like this is a message also from him that I have.
Yeshua tan krishna karila harashiri ikina siratara filera karyana krishna karhara farava karyatas na flochri chinarara.
Feels like it's a bit of what Jesus did, and the belief that he had in himself and the belief that his people had in him. That same belief is had in me. That belief is, the belief must be within myself. I must have that belief within myself, in myself. This is what Jesus did. These are the details of what Jesus did. I could incorporate those into my life, into me, and do that. This is details of how, for lack of a better term, or details of the doing.
So
I feel a great love from this too. And we reciprocate that love, not just to you, but to Jesus as well.
adieu.
Adieu. The confusion that came up in me was, let me go ahead and retrace it. There was the question of Jesus' own faith wavering, and it didn't seem to me like that had actually happened. But I wonder, I don't know those facets.
It was earlier on, before he woke up through what he learned along the way.
Yeah. I see that Jesus was born perfect, and I know what they mean when they say he was born perfect, as in he didn't sin, as in he beat himself every step of the way. But one thing about even type 1 beings is that type 1 beings do go through hardship. They do go through challenge and difficulty. It's different from what we go through, but there's the idea of snafus, the idea of having to learn how to work consciousness, the idea of getting stuck and not knowing how to express something is part of a learning process. And that can be a source of difficulty, or when an expression is done in a way that's not resonant, or that's, a shoot and a miss, and an unwanted experience takes place. And it's just part of the learning of consciousness. This is something that type 1 beings go through. And I know that Jesus did go through hardships of his own. And he sort of knew about the idea of continuing to have that faith, but it was tried at times. And I now look back on this and I can see echoes in the energy that this was a sort of trial of my own faith, that Jesus went through this many times and he made it, and that I can too.
Yes.
And all I have to do is just keep believing in it and to keep going, just like I did with Earth when there were those I saw Earth as my higher fractal consciousness working with me, shaping itself into my own expression in what I wanted to live. I wanted to live a reality, and my higher self and everything is going through what it needs to go through to be exactly that. And knowing that, I believed in it to go through that process. And that is, my faith in that was strong enough to where things around me would shift into alignment for many of the things that we're able to co-create now. And on top of that, when I saw certain things on the horizon of coming to fruition, I could say no, knowing that I could choose whether something said becomes like a nonsensical energy, for lack of a better term, an energy that's expressed or said by the media and it's just said and nothing comes of it, or something big comes of it. I felt my creatorship in that. And so I said no to that, and then nothing ever came of it. And the same thing happened with YouTube and the idea of ad blockers not being allowed. I said no to that. I felt my creatorship in that. And then, of course, did not come to fruition. And so I've done this before. I just need to see what I'm doing, to see more of creator in what I'm doing. And that would help me to finish this, to get the rest of the expression. The more I continue to integrate into not believing that I'm limited, and seeing creator in all aspects of what I'm doing and what I'm being, then I would cease to be limited. I would cease to be limited to being only certain things, and then I would have all of being available to me. There's something deeper. There's something deeper. When I came out of the dream state, I felt my freeness, and then I felt the weight of here, but I felt myself integrating the senses of limitation one by one. And
I usually shrink when I come back here from that kind of experience. I feel like I'm shrinking.
Yeah, this was the first time that this has happened, though. When I came out of the experience, it was really different because I could feel the things I was integrating back into myself. I could feel what Jesus was like. I could feel a bit of what Aradif was like too. Less of Aradif, but more of Jesus. My focus was there, and I could feel the beliefs and limitation, the lack of faith and ability to be. I could feel each one of those. Myself picking up each one of those, and I'm looking back at that now, and it's like each of them were prompted by cues in my reality, or were prompted by cues around me, feeling. Um, like the definitions I have of life are triggered by tactility. Like I could reprogram what tactility means to me. Like I could reprogram what the things around me that I see mean to me. What I'm triggered into being by seeing. And then I can expand what I am by opening up my entire physical structure. That's bringing tears to my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a significant blue light in the studio right now. These blue light bulbs that are in here are actually quite bright. I think I'm going to go ahead and take them out and put the light back to normal. Or back to...
Where are you going to put them now?
Put the blue lights? Maybe in the chest.
I think the chest thing, I think what you should do is test out taking from something in the dream state / astral state and asking the chakra system to take it from the uh, astral chakra or star chakra energy bandwidth and bring it into the chest and then wake up with something in the chest.
Yeah, or even actually live the experience of having the chest in my dream state and then taking an item in the dream state and putting it into the expression of the chest in the dream state, and I wake up and the same chest in my awakened state has the item that I put in there.
Yes, maybe a soul speaker. Well, if you had a soul speaker, you could talk to any entity you want with it.
That's true, because it could be used for more than just playing music. You could go ahead and play anything.
You could have thought from anyone go through it, and it would be like a phone call with an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, or I could perhaps even talk to you. I would need a soul mic, though, for that. And then we need a matching set. But
Well, I don't think we need a soul mic because you're translating thought into you're translating brain sound into physical sound, and then transmitting it back to a brain.
that's true. Why? What prompted me to say that? Because there's a detail here with this, with respect to the specific builds of consciousness.
You would probably need a mic to broadcast sound out through it, maybe.
Yeah, the mic. I guess the idea is the avatars are expression within your own imagination. Like, let's say that you wanted to go ahead and share something with me. So you share it in consciousness, and you pair, you connect to the speakers, and then you say something through it. Oh yes, I would need you just need a set of the speakers yourself, and then I suppose you could connect to my own consciousness and then hear me express myself, or you could express the version of me within your own consciousness. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Because there's the idea of direct connection with other beings, but then there's also their expression within you, and then that going through the soul speaker. So, might be a way to bypass the throat chakra somewhat.
Well, I mean, yeah, you'd also get more. It also would mean you wouldn't need you to be the channel. You'd have the soul speaker be the channeling conduit because it's a neutral thing.
Yeah.
It's a neutral medium. They would also have volume buttons and you'd also be able to change the amount of frequencies in the subwoofer, mid-range, and treble. And you'd also be able to convert frequencies of different hertz to other hertz, like megahertz to regular hertz and kilohertz, especially if you're listening to the frequencies of stars and black holes as symbolic portals to connect to different entities through dialing in the sounds of a black hole as the means of dialing the area code to another species. And at this point, you'd be kind of using it as like the auditory version of Chat GPT input prompts, fused with the idea of the consciousness being a galactic switchboard and a speaker being like the telephone that beings pick up and speak through to you through their soul mics.
Yeah.
Or their brains.
In one moment, I reached this light bulb. There that goes. Oh.
There also would be a USB port where you could plug in your soul speaker to your computer, and then that could be the way you could use your soul speaker to record tracks into Audacity. And then you could merge tracks. You could merge it all into one audio file track, and that way you could have like 200 tracks of your mind squeezed into 20 Audacity tracks.
Yeah, I mean you can also.
And then you could have like, then you can make like all the classical music you want in chime noise.
Yeah, but you'd also be able to go ahead and put built-in memory into the speakers, so that way you could just record automatically, and you wouldn't need to plug it into the computer to do that. So I think
it would have access to 3 different internet systems and have pretty much infinite memory.
Yeah, I'm looking at the idea of the concept. The original idea was just something I could interface with that would render music, but it could theoretically render basically any consciousness, and so
it's basically like the iterator in Star Trek, but for sound.
Yeah.
Make this noise, make that noise, bring this being through. It's like a soundboard meets a telephone meets music.
Yeah, I suppose you could go ahead and connect other beings and have them express directly through the speaker, or you could go ahead and, as their, part of your own consciousness, iterating the audio of your own consciousness through the speaker that would act as a channel. There are lots of different ways that this thing can be used. Like, there are a lot of different ways this thing could be used, for sure.
It also could be useful in the nonverbal community.
It would be.
It would also make Elon Musk's Neuralink look like a baby toy.
Yeah. Elon Musk will love the idea of the factory over at TAT City. He'd be able to do all kinds of stuff over there. The ideas and all that. So much.
Yeah. They don't match the creational dynamic, though.
Or no.
I can tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
But a future incarnation of him who lives on Mars, maybe.
A lot of things could shift, though, because what could end up happening, and I felt this when I was connecting to Lamborghini. When
the company Lamborghini?
Yeah. When, if there's acts enough to where people start believing in the idea of creatorship or phenomena beyond physicality, the energy of TAT City could be tapped, and all it really takes is, a few beings expressing in just the right way as reflections and expressions of everybody else in the collective to catch their attention. If there's that kind of openness, and because the collective is really your own, it's the source that's able to be within the confines of your own consciousness. And if you have a seed, an excitement to experience a certain thing, that excitement can express itself in the whole of the collective in the form of an open
Yeah.
to a new phenomenon. We've actually seen this many times in the channeling sessions that we've had here. So basically,
Where what?
in the sessions that we've had here, where there is an openness and desire to co-create something, and then that something comes to fruition, the excitement is then had in the beings with whom we co-create. The same thing can happen with the Earth Collective, where there's an excitement and in oneness, in that they're a part of our body of consciousness. Our excitement is their excitement in one part, and even if that part is just a speck, that's all it takes. And then there'd be enough room for one person to express elements of TAT City in their consciousness, and then it can spread as the excitement grows. And then that's enough for even a lot of closed minds to suddenly see some new possibility. But it depends on how closed they are. If there's a speck of openness, it might be enough. It just depends on the way those specific minds are set up. Sometimes those minds are set up in a way to where they're waiting for just the right thing, or they're waiting for the right thing, the right contradiction, the right signal to tip them off of something new. And in that way, that's the speck of openness. It can express itself in many different forms, depending on the setups of each of the different minds involved. And because those minds are a reflection and expression of our own self, if we're open and excited to have an open collective, it can start there and can take off pretty considerably too. And it really comes from the idea of seeing your creator and creatorship in all things. So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to take this and run with it and playing out one of the probable futures.
Yeah. Omni Channels 11 basically tells the one probable future of how android humans would interact with Earth humans from TAT City.
That's a very interesting thing. Maybe I'll go check that out.
It goes from 2020 to 2200.
Which Omni channels is it? Is it the latest one?
It's 11.
Omni channels 11. Okay.
Yeah. Omni Channel 6 is the beginning where I started channeling Ava. No, I actually started channeling Ava in the third one, I think.
I'll check that one out. I may have already glanced at it, but I'll go ahead and check it out again.
Yeah, the first 5 are in one video,
Alright.
and the sixth one is its own. And 7, 8, 9 are one video. The 10th one I haven't gotten back yet because it was a recording from earlier in August that I haven't received yet. So I just thought, just skip the 10th one until the 10th one arrives, and then I delete the ones from the playlist that are not that are after 10, and then re-add them when I put the 10th one there, so that it's in order.
Aye. Yeah,
Or I could just go to jump to the reality where it's already on my channel.
This is amazing, the whole idea of working and living life, taking these different roads. My energy's phasing out. There was one more thing that I had to express, but my energy's phased out enough. I think I can find it. Come on, let's go ahead and do this.
So that's that's what it is.
Feels like there is mixed into there also how to see it, the look within the self. Let me go ahead. Letting go of doubt, letting go of belief against. I saw this in the collective. opening up of the collective. I remember looking back and seeing the instances where we've already done this in the galaxy, and we could do this in the Earth collective as well. I'm getting closer. Choosing life. Yeah, it is special. Choosing life. Come on, where is that thing?
Using life as a teacher.
Soul speaker. Then there's
Yeah.
soul speaker, soul connections. Yeah, there's so many different ways those can be configured that we'd probably have to try out different things. I know that a lot of these things would be bringing things within our own mind to the surface, but they could, in theory, absolutely be used as a way of communicating.
You could communicate with nonverbal people. You wouldn't need to do implants, so it would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like you and I could connect imaginations and things like that, and try things there, and then we could play with the soul speaker.
But here's one question:
Yeah.
if you made a track on your soul speaker, how would you upload it? I think you have to use your computer for that.
Yeah, you'd have to go ahead and, like, let's say it has an internal memory, or let's say it has an SD card. Then I would just take the SD card out and then put it in the computer and upload it. So,
True.
but yeah, so that's, yeah, that could work. The SD card idea I really like, because SD cards can keep growing in capacity. But then
In terms of how much data you can put on them?
Yeah. So then there's the idea that there could be a soul speaker in your house paired to me, and a soul speaker in my house paired to you, and we'd be able to communicate with each other that way.
Yeah. And then I'd be able to have you render the audio when you'd upload it to your channel. And it would automatically be able to censor out certain words because we tell it to censor out certain words. And it would just automatically do it live and replace it with whatever sound in the sound bank that we would want. See?
Yeah, edit it with pure thought. That's pretty cool. Look at that. That would make things pretty easy. You could theoretically edit existing audio files as well. That would just regular audio files, and you could just go ahead and input certain things in place of that.
Yeah. Because it would, but you can't do it with existing audio files that are already uploaded onto your channel or onto a channel, unless you change the past.
Well, yeah, no, what I'm saying is that the files that are on my computer, I could have those be on the SD card, put them into the soul speaker, and if I were to have an edit system built into it to where I could let the audio play, and then I could alter some of the sounds in there, then yeah.
Yeah. Like you could also convert people's voices with it as well. So instead of it being
All right, I think I'm the one who's this time hitting his limit. I know I'm getting, I feel like my thinking cap has had it. I think it's more, I feel like I'm falling asleep, even though I don't know why. I haven't even been awake that long, but this was, didn't know that we were going to explore this much consciousness, given how much consciousness we explored yesterday. But that was a lot. So, and we thank you for that. It's a lot of growth, a lot of exploration, a lot of things toward, and some new things done that weren't done before. So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I congratulate you on your growth and thank you for ours. And I think I'll let you do the outro this time.
Adieu.
Adieu.